Hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to your 10-minute Manchester United news, transfer news, and update roundup show. And we actually are in the process of having a new setup, if you can see. It's not done yet, it's only halfway done. I need to put something on this other wall behind me. And I also need to add some other bits to the shelves, put some black panels behind so the plaques stand out. But we are in the process of building a setup, which has been long awaited. But we got the flag in. We got the Man United flag in, which is definitely going to fall off at some point. It's definitely going to fall off at some point. But you're not here because Alice has slightly upgraded the setup, but it's not done yet. You're here for the Manchester United news, the Manchester United transfer news, and more. So there's been more links to Diomande. We're going to talk about the latest on that. But Romano was given a big update on Mason Greenwood and his departure from Marseille this summer, and why this is going to play a big role in Man United's summer plans, as well as obviously Rashford's future. We're going to talk about the money coming in for Manchester United, the plans, and more. So if you do enjoy today's video, feel free to hit that like button. You're welcome to subscribe if you're new, and let's get into it. So in regards to Yan Diomande, it was said that Yan Diomande is attracting serious attention from United and Spurs, sending scouts multiple times to watch him. Expect his name to be one of the hottest topics this summer. There's a lot of Prem clubs interested in Yan Diomande. There's a lot of clubs interested in Yan Diomande, and Bayern Munich, also another club interested in Yan Diomande. Something tells me he's going to go to Bayern Munich. Something just tells me he's going to go to Bayern Munich. Although, that said, obviously the Prem clubs have the most money. His dad is a huge Liverpool fan, which he said many times. He watched the Prem a lot. He might like the Prem. I think he would choose Man United over Spurs. Something tells me he could end up at Liverpool. They never replaced Luis Diaz. I feel like if he goes to the Prem, he goes to Liverpool, or he goes to Bayern. I think United will be in for Yan Diomande, but I don't think we'll get him. And look, as good as he is, I would rather go with someone a little bit more proven, because it'll be interesting to see how he adapts to the Premier League. I mean, of course, let me know your thoughts down below on Yan Diomande, but Manchester United want a left winger. Manchester United want 2 midfielders. I think we need 3. And Manchester United, depending on Harry Maguire, will also look at a centre-back, and you can argue we need a left-back in the summer. Now, what we'll do in the summer massively depends on a few things, and Mason Greenwood is going to have a big role and impact on Manchester United's summer plans. With De Zerbi leaving Marseille, this will now impact the future of Mason Greenwood. United have a 50% sell-on clause for Greenwood, which is huge for their rebuild this summer. As Romano has said himself as well, you know, it's going to play a big role in what Manchester United do this summer. And you might be saying, what do you mean? Like, how big of a role? Now, right now, I see Greenwood going for 80 million. He may go for 70 million because of the controversy around his name, but with the way he's been playing, he's probably worth 100 million, but because of the controversy, he may end up going for 70 million. I put 80 million because I look at the market, I look at what people paid for Sesko and Voltamada, and I think Greenwood is worth more than those guys. Now, if it's straight 50% sell-on clause, we'd get 40 million. Now, I believe, and some reports say, that we get 50% of anything above 25 million that Marseille get for Greenwood. So if they sold him for 80 million, that's what? 55 million profit. Half of 55 million is 27.5 million. I'd assume we get 27.5 million, not 50 million. If you went for 80 million, I think we get 50% of anything above 25 million. But that said, people have got to remember there's a difference between making 27 million and making 27 million in pure profit. Now, how pure profit works essentially is if you make 27.5 million pure profit in the world of PSR, and you went and signed a player for 137 million, but split that across 5 years, 27.5 million this year, 27.5 million next year, 27.5 million the following year, it technically, you know, you can do that. You could pay 27.5 million towards a 5-year deal on a player, you know, across 5 years. Now, I don't think we would do that. And obviously you've got to take into account wages and other sales and other things that happen in the future. But you're looking at potentially 100 million transfer boost from something like Greenwood going, and us getting like 27 million in pure profit from him going. But it's not really just Greenwood. You've got to look at Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford and Greenwood should bring in around 50 to 55 million in pure profit this summer. Now, that said, will Barcelona pay out for Rashford? They should pay out for Rashford. He's well worth the money. But Barcelona are broke. Barcelona are tight. They don't want to pay 26 million for Rashford, which is a joke, because I think most teams would be offering us 40, 50 million for Rashford with how he's been for Barcelona's season. Maybe his wages and age, 40 million. The fact that they're saying they want him for like 15 million, not 26 million, I think is an absolute joke, especially with Rashford actually willing to lower his wages by like 25% to go to Barcelona, which I think is mad. But Rashford and Greenwood itself should bring in around 50 million pure profit. Greenwood is expected to go, but Greenwood, it's difficult to know what's going to happen. there's a lot of clubs out there that would want Mason Greenwood but won't buy him. Do you know what I mean? And I don't see him going to the Premier League because I think the noise would be too loud. I think in other leagues, it's obviously the whole situation isn't known as much. Not everybody speaks English, so they won't hear or understand the audio. La, 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 la. I think Greenwood goes to Italy. I think he goes to Spain. I think there's a little bit less money there. So we don't know for sure if Greenwood's going, but we know that he wants to move to a bigger club. He could even go to PSG. You never know. Now, Greenwood and Rashford should bring in around 50 million pure profit if sold. And that technically could allow United to spend 250 million spread across 5 years. Technically, yes, although you've got to take into other factors, wages, other sales, other buys, etc. But that's massive. Our summer plans could massively depend on one, UCL football, because that could boost the budget by nearly 100 million, around 100 million from UCL football, plus the amount of money we get from sponsorships. You've got to remember, if we're in Europe next season, we make so much more money from Old Trafford because we have more games. We make an extra 10 million from Adidas. We get that back. We make a bit more money from commercials, and you get around 100 million itself from being in the Champions League. So if we get back into the Champions League, we're looking at nearly 100 million there. We're looking at Greenwood and Rashford allowing us to probably spend another 100 million if they go. Casemiro's wages, you're looking at 50 million. Anana, I'm hoping we get 10 million for, but that is a push. Højlund, we should get 40 million for, but we're only really breaking even on Højlund's book value. There's talk of Mount going, there's talk of Dalot potentially being sold. If Bruno Fernandes leaves, that's going to be 55 million in pure profit, but I don't want that to happen. And that is massive because Manchester United need to spend a lot of money this summer. I mean, we need a lot of money. I think we need to spend 200 million on 3 midfielders. Now, don't get me wrong. These are my dream 2 midfielders, Tonali and Elliot Anderson. Do I think we're going to get them? No. Do I think we could get one of them? Maybe. To get one will be really hard. To get both would be almost impossible, but you never know. This is the dream. For me, Elliot Anderson is probably going to go to City. I think Newcastle will make Tonali incredibly difficult to get, and Arsenal want him. I think if Anderson goes for City, we should go all out for Tonali. Something tells me we're going to just go and prioritise Ballet because we know he'll come to us. But I would rather go for Tonali over Ballet. But I know Tonali has also dropped off in form this season, but I do think he's a more influential player to fill that Casemiro role, more of a leader, and can bag kind of important goals, which is something Casemiro does that maybe Baleba lacks. I think, for me, if you can get the money for Greenwood, you can get the money for Rashford, it gives us funds to do what we need to do in the summer, and that is go out for Tonali. Again, I don't know if he'd come to us. Something tells me he wants to go back to Italy. Something tells me he wouldn't leave Newcastle for Manchester United. But if we get Champions League and Newcastle have a bad season and he falls out with Newcastle, it could be possible. My dream window would be Elliot Anderson, Bergvall, Tonali in midfield, someone like Kvaratskhelia or Njai on the left, and then the left back like Nathaniel Brown. Now that would be a very difficult thing to do. But I look at Manchester United, I think we give Maguire a contract extension. For 1 or 2 years, new deal, get him on a lower wage. We look to bring in an attacking-minded left-back as we fade Shaw out. Like, Shaw stayed fit this season. Something tells me he'll probably be injured next season. Dorgu's done well at left wing, but maybe moving back to left back to give Shaw a bit of competition, and he could be another option at left wing. We bring in a left winger. I would really try for someone like Kvaratskhelia of PSG. I would. I think there's still a player in there. Or you can look at Njai, who I know has played on the right this season, but I do think he's better on the left. Now, that might be an unpopular opinion. You've obviously got Cunha and Buma Seska that can play through the middle. I personally don't think we need a striker, but there is rumours we've considered and might actually look at someone like Igor Thiago, which I'm not going to say no to. I think on the right, you're fine with Ahmed and Mbeumo. If Bruno stays brilliant, Mount is back up to Bruno. Maino is part of the future. I'd love someone like Bergvall to come in as someone that can compete with Maino. I know quite different players. And then the sixes, you've got Tonali and Anderson, both of which are happy to play as an 8. I mean, that would be the dream. I don't think it's going to happen. I think for me, we need 3 midfielders, 2 big top dog midfielders, Tonali type midfielders, and then 1 smaller midfielder. And that could be a Muzakitas, it could be a Bawadi, someone that's younger, or it could be someone like a Bergvall who might cost a bit more money, but if Spurs get relegated, it could be cheaper. Or you even look at Sander Berge and just say, look, this guy, as an Agate replacement, Sander Berge is probably someone that you'd consider. We need an elite level player to replace Casemiro, an elite level player. We need a very good player to replace Agate, and we need somebody else in there for depth. I think right now, even without Europe, we're 1 midfielder thin on depth. Agate is the only midfield depth we really have right now for those 2 deeper roles. So I think we need at least 3 midfielders, 1 Agate replacement because Agate is expected to go, 1 Casemiro replacement, and another midfielder just for depth. Collier keeps getting injured. Maino's had injury issues in the past, and we don't know if Collier will be good enough. We just need a midfield rebuild. Anyway, hopefully we do get on by getting Champions League football and selling players in the summer and making money off our sell-on clauses. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching today's video. Bye.